Welcome to the Attendance Radar teacher demo. In this video, you'll be able to understand how to use Attendance Radar to track attendance in your classes. As soon as you download the app from the iOS App Store or Android Google Play Store and open it, you'll get to a screen that looks like this. Here you can see the Institute dropdown, and where you can see all of the different institutions that work with us. If your institution does not appear here, then you most likely need to create an account in the public server. In order to create an account, you click on sign up here at the bottom, you select teacher in your case, and then you can register an attendance with email, Google, Microsoft, or Apple. If you register an attendance with email, you'll receive an email with a link to set up your password. Then you can then log in using whichever method you chose. Note that if you log in with email, you'll also be asked to input an MFA code that will be sent to your email. Now I'm going to log in and show you how it looks like inside the app. So, as soon as you log in to Attendance Radar, you'll be taken to a screen that looks exactly like this. Now, in this case, because this is an account that was just created, there's no courses, but I can start by creating a course. So to do this, I click on New Course, and then I have to give it a name. So we're gonna call it Mathematics 101. For now, you can ignore these two options here. We'll come back to them a little bit later to explain what they're about. I'm just gonna create the course, and it'll now ask me to create the first training session for it. So for this, I give it a training title. By default, normally the training title will have the course name plus day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, depending on which training it is, depending on the order of its creation. Then you can give it a date and a time. So if I scroll down here, I can adjust the time, and I can do so for 6 p.m. and then I can also give it a duration. And the duration you can set in 5-minute intervals. We're gonna set it to 2 hours, and I'm gonna give it a room number as the location. So this is gonna be 343 building A. Great. Now I can then repeat the training. If you have the premium account, you'll be able to repeat trainings. So for example, let's say this training happened every week, I'd be able to create 10 trainings all at once. So if I click here, create training, I now created 10 different trainings. Now, if I want to create another training, I can always click on new training. It'll take me to the same screen I was in before to create one. You can also look at past trainings. So as trainings start happening, they will move to this past filter, just to show you how this looks like. Let's say this is day 0, for example, and let's set it 1 month in the past. If I click here, create training, you'll see it now appears in past. So this makes this course screen very clean, because as trainings go happen already, they move to this past screen. Now you also have the student screen here. In this case, there's an empty course. In a moment, I'll show you how you can add students and how you can manage the students that you have in the course. But for now, let's talk about attendance tracking. So if I click here on attendance, I'll be able to see the sessions that I have today. In this screen, you'll not only be able to see sessions that you have today, but also the ones that are coming up in the next 7 days. So if I were to, for example, adjust this day 2 just by 1 day earlier, let's keep this in March, you can now see that it appears because it's coming up in the next 7 days. Here you can also see the past trainings. Now, let's mark the attendance for day 1. So there's 3 main ways you can mark the attendance in Attendance Radar. The first one, and the most recommended one, especially in on-campus classes, is using the Bluetooth scanner. So right now I'm going to start emitting a Bluetooth signal. Now note that I can always stop this signal earlier if I wish to, and if you have the premium account, you'll also be able to adjust how long you set this signal for, anywhere from 1 all the way to 30 minutes. In this case, I'm going to reset it to the default of 15 minutes. And note that while you're emitting, your phone won't go to sleep or anything like that, but you shouldn't swipe off the app or turn off your phone screen, because then it will stop the emit. So let's start broadcasting again. And now I'm gonna click on scan and mark attendance. I strongly recommend you watch the student demo video, which will be linked here below in the description, so you can see how the other side of the solution looks like. So I'm gonna click scan and mark attendance. in the student side, it's now scanning. This takes normally 5 seconds. I'll click here, check in, and in this case, I'm gonna be subscribing to this course. So students can actually self-enroll by marking their attendance. And now you can see that a student appeared. So this student has now enrolled to this course. So that is one of the ways that you'll be able to add students. Students can just self-enroll by scanning in. So if I see here, he now appears in the student list. I can also remove him if I want to. In this case, we won't. But by the way, note that if you do remove a student, it will remove them. It will delete their attendance record. So that's something to consider. But in this case, yeah, they were marked present for day 1. Now, let's show you the second way you can mark the attendance, which is using a manual code. This is mostly recommended for online sessions, but it can also be used in on-campus sessions. It just doesn't have the accuracy and reliability of the Bluetooth scan, which is actually physically limited based on the range of the Bluetooth signal. But if you wish, you can use this manual code. So now I'm inputting the code from the student view. Once again, make sure to watch the student demo video. And I now mark my attendance, and you'll see in a moment, this will update. Perfect. So now I marked myself, the student marked themselves for the second day. Now, the third way of marking the attendance is just manually. So let's say we're in day 3, I can mark the attendance of this student by clicking on present and saving it. And that's very easy. So if the student, for example, doesn't have battery in their phone, you can just mark them. They can just ask you, and you'd be able to mark them like this. You can also mark a student as excused and leave a comment. If you're in the premium version, you'd be able to leave a comment. So here, for example, I can say this student had the flu, so they were excused from coming to class, and they're excused. Another possibility is to mark them as late. Once again, this is only possible in the premium version, so I'll be able to mark them as late. And I'm gonna add a comment in this case. And another thing to note is that you can also take away the attendance of a student. So you can always mark a student as absent manually. They will automatically be marked as absent if the class already passed and they weren't marked present. So for example, for this past class, if I click here on the past and I go to this past session, you'll see that the student was automatically already marked as absent because this session is already in the past. But let's say that a student isn't actually in class, you can also mark them as absent, which if you use the Bluetooth, that shouldn't happen, because in order for the students to be able to mark their attendance using the Bluetooth, they'll need to be in class, which is one of the main benefits of using attendance radar over other systems. Now, you may have noticed that there was also another type of emit here, which is a lateness broadcast. So let's go here to day 5. Oh, okay, well, let's do day 6, for example. And I can now show you how the lateness broadcast works. So this works exactly the same as the normal attendance broadcast, but instead of marking a student as present, it'll mark them as late. So now I'm scanning as the student, and okay, I was able to mark myself, and within a few seconds, you'll see this refresh. Oh, okay, well, let me just refresh here, and there you go. Late. So they were marked as late. And one thing to note, which is important, is that this lateness emit will start automatically once the normal attendance emit finishes. So for example, you can set it to start emitting for the first 15 minutes, you're emitting for the normal attendance, and then for the next 15, 30, 20 minutes, however long you like, you can then emit for lateness. So if someone walks in, let's say 20 minutes late to class, you can just ask them to mark themselves, and they'll automatically mark as late in your record. Now, a couple other things to note. First of all, we mentioned that we would discuss the settings that you have here in the courses screen. So I'm gonna edit this course so I can go back to the settings. Note that here you can also archive the course. So if you archive the course, it will delete it from the app. You won't be able to see it. And if you have the premium version, you would be able to access this course archive on the web. By the way, there's a web demo which will be linked here below in the description as well. And this is specifically used for you as a teacher to be able to set up things. You can, for example, set up the course more easily on the web. You can import a list of students to set it up already. once again, check out the web demo. But yeah, in this case, we're not gonna archive the course, but I wanted to talk about these two settings. So the first one is to block new subscriptions to the course. So if I block subscriptions, it won't allow anyone else to self-enroll to the course, because as we already saw, students can self-enroll by either scanning in, and they can also do this using a manual code. If you enable the setting, it will block them, and it won't allow you any new students from self-enrolling into this course, which can be super useful because you can basically close the class list, and then no new students will be able to add themselves. Once everyone that needs to be enrolled is enrolled, you can prevent anyone new from adding themselves. Now, the other thing is push notifications. So if you have a premium account, you'll have access to push notifications. So by default, they are enabled, which means that when you start scanning, the students will receive a push notification on their phone, which they can then use to, they can click on it to open up the app, and it just makes the process of marking their attendance a bit smoother. You can always disable these push notifications if you wish for the students, and note that these push notifications will only appear if the students enabled the push notification permission, of course. Now, final couple things to see in the mobile app is here in the profile screen. You can adjust, for example, your name, your first name and your last name in the app. You can also adjust the language. We have the app available in English, French, German, Spanish, Dutch, and Bulgarian. So you'll be able to adjust the language. And you can also delete your account if you wish, which we hope you don't. But you're able to delete your account, and it will delete all your data. Finally, in the About screen, you have a Submit Feedback button, which will take you to a contact form in the web where you will be able to submit feedback about our solution. You'll also have a user manual, which is for the for the app user manual, and then you also have the user web manual. And that's about it for the mobile version of the app. If you'd like to check out the web demo, make sure to look at the description below, and you'll be able to access that. And thank you very much for watching this video.